Crowdfund Part 2. Now, the funny thing is that the one thing I love writing about, now of course I know all about things like self-publishing, putting your stuff on Amazon, and I may have a go at that. No, I'm just going to splurge. No, I have been partly splurging, all sorts of things. I operate on the following principle. I know that nothing I write actually is genuinely insulting, offensive, or what are the other words? I mean, I was looking at something it's worth looking at. Andrew Gold Heretics has a interview. I listened to it last night with the chap who was a Times Radio reporter who was arrested for harassment and malicious communication. Now, I'm quite interested. I'm interested in real freedom of speech. Anyway, somebody put a really good comment on that. That hurty feelings have been criminalised. Now, I'm just like, let's get rid of that. I know exactly where the line is. I'm interested in chronicling real society. One of the real things about society is, despite my there's a phrase, a word that's used regarding vanning, which is stealth vanning. I'm the most stealth vanner in the world. I never leave anything up the front when I leave my vehicle, or in fact when I park up at night, because I don't want anybody to see that I live here or think that, because my God, the prejudice, particularly if you have a slightly rusty old banger like this. The problem with Britain, probably in America too, don't think it's quite the case in Europe. Watch the film Intouchable. 2011 or 14. There is a copy, a pirate copy on YouTube. You have to Google it. On the video section, you have to go about 200 down, and you because it's on Amazon Prime, and it's on I think the iPhone one. It's not on Netflix. I know, because I've got an ally who I was trying to get her to watch it. She's older than me. Trying to encourage her to write. That's something I do. Trying to encourage people to write their truths. She has exactly the same. Oh yes, I'm going to get some references put on here. 3, 4, 5 people I'm going to try and get them to make video references. Because I know you see, I lived by Hay on Wye for many years as a 5 miles out, 10 miles out. As a green person, I was aware of all the goodies in the area, and I saw them start to put on fraudulent crowdfunds. First one was around the Portuguese fires. They would make up, we've lost everything, but they were their second homes, even their little barns in the hills. And then in 2020, some really terrible fraudulent ones. Anyway, to the point. The thing I like writing about most is, ever since I had my annus horribilis 2010, out of the blue, my daughter is stolen, and worse. Various people tried to destroy me. I've lived on £400, £500, £600 a month. That's it. I've had periods of doing a little bit of extra work, where I get paid properly for tough outdoor work, which is great therapy. Even if I'm the most wounded soul there can be. And I went to an ordinary comprehensive. I left school at 16. Being a professional pilot is not a big deal. Well, it wasn't then. You didn't really need any qualifications. Anyway, to the point. The thing that I enjoy writing about and sharing the most, even though I haven't been able to do it properly yet, is just getting by on nothing. Strategies. I mean, for example, all the wires. I mean, I'm so careful. I'm the most together person in the whole world. All your wires, unless you're so careful with them, you buy your wires for your USB to C or your C to C or your whatever, and they will break down after 2-3 months and become unusable. So just strategies. Now, this is how green and together I am. These are living in a van, I don't bother with anti-condensation measures, but my various notepads I have to keep in plastics because the condensation in the winter drops down and gets things wet. That's important. These are 25 years old. I keep things very carefully and make the most of them because I put all my time, even though the worst failure in history ever. I must reread Candide by Voltaire. It's like, even though I failed, it's not battle, I endure, I persist. I will occasionally sellotape the edges of these because these work, these are needed. So it's just methods of just getting by on virtually no money. I've never expected to have any. Ever since, I had to put all of my life into trying to rescue a child. I love it. I love I'm just looking for things that might quickly, I can't see anything that'll quickly show what the getting by is. But the getting by on absolutely minimum money, finding little slightly ingenious, not hacks, because there are no hacks, just little techniques of enduring, minimum money, minimum effort. It might not look like it, but it actually takes quite a lot of time to live. I mean, I've basically lived like this for 3.5 years. First of all in the marches, and for nearly 2 years down here. I came down here not because I didn't know anything about Cornwall, actually. I came down here to link up with a writer person who I discovered really, unfortunately, I thought that she was the most wonderful writer person there is, because you need people on the same page. I thought she was genuinely, artfully subversive. But I think she's a bit trapped in the bourgeois construct that is everywhere. I have no interest in that. My only interest is somehow writing 2 or 3 books to show no. And right, I'll end by this. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had quite a few things in the media. Now, unfortunately, BBC Radio 4 is important. It is where social policy is discussed, where it's rolled out almost, where the themes that do end up in Whitehall get aired, blah, blah, blah. You had, I think, about 3 weeks ago, you had Gareth Southgate doing a speech about young men, but just as much of a problem with young women, having no male, but many of them not having any fathers, having no male role models, blah, blah, blah. I kind of write and talk with people about this all the time. And I'm going to share some pages gradually through this crowdfund. I've written a great big thing on what is, now I don't even like the word, because most women don't actually like the word, and I only know measured women who read books. They don't like the word feminism, but one of the things, excuse me, we need women to work in society. Women mentored. I ended up a reasonable person throughout my 20s after a difficult childhood where I was a bit off the rails, not massively. I was mentored by a lovely rural man, not my father. That's terribly important. A beautiful, loving old man, who I take my pen name, Ralph, off. But also then in secondary school, and then in one's 20s. In fact, it ended age 32 for me. I was mentored loosely, or sometimes very, very specifically, by 3 or 4 magnificent women who, they take you under your arm a bit. You look to them as mother hen. We need women doing that. And part of that is making sure that children do not get estranged from their parents. Now, I actually put myself into that more on behalf of women. I've done more legal cases for women who wrongly have the local authority persecuting them and basically taking their kids away. We need, polemics don't work, but I've done the work to figure what has kind of gone wrong, one could say, in society. And see, I've done a polemic, or a bit of a polemic. As I was saying, polemicization takes skill. I do actually have that skill, but not for now. I'm afraid to say the reality is, because I'm the #1 fighter, artful fighter, successful fighter, I don't think there's been any legal fighter who's as successful as me in the 2010s. And yet, the establishment, the powers, Whitehall, whoever, whatever, they eventually fight back and they win. I accept that 100%. But here's the key. While you're fighting, and in the aftermath, when you may well be crushed, you've got to learn to not take it to heart ever. It's just the way it is. Britain is not how it's made out to be in the BBC, for example. Ask Andrew Malkinson. Keeping your chin up and finding actual, genuine, real joy in techniques to endure without having much to do with this horrible thing out there, which they call the beast. In other words, modern turbo-capitalism. Keeping your pecker up in that, and my pecker, I mean, I could roll out 20 witnesses who will all say, I never complain. I don't do partying. I haven't been out at night basically for 15 years. I've possibly been out about 3 times in 15 years. I don't do partying. I don't do things to become happy, to perform happiness. I never complain. And the reason is because I get my actual satisfaction from enduring when I should have collapsed and starved to death or other things 15 years ago, in fact, certainly 13 years ago. Now, just the joy is in keeping on ticking over, finding solutions or ways of chugging along. I'm looking for things. I can't see anything. I want to write that. That's book 4, I guess. Anyway, that will do if you've stayed with me to now. I'm going to now make a short audio. It'll probably, knowing me, be 20 minutes about what support and what my plans are if anybody wished to support me. Somebody paid me $50 a week or 2 ago into my PayPal, and my Ralph Schism.com operation is just a kind of wry stream of consciousness, and there are lots of things which you can't say, and I skate along the ice of all of that. I've no interest in dishing the dirt on any particular person. So it's going to have to be quite narcissistic and basically just a memoir. Except, yes, I couldn't actually tell all of the truth until a few months ago. The most important thing I've also discovered in life is keeping inside things. You can call them injustices, you can call them whatever. Keeping them inside is the toughest thing of all. I told the only person I care about a certain truth from a long time ago around the Christmas period, and even if that is too painful for her, I don't know. I'm not somebody who I learned a long time ago, you can't work out really what's in other people's heads unless they tell you over long, consistent periods of time. The fact that that's out means I can tell my actual story from 2002 to 10 fully. Not as a telltale. I'm not into that. It's as a don't give up, and above all, the thing that's worth fighting for I'm a very, very proud person. No, not proud, it's the wrong word. I'm a satisfied person. Because even if I die today with nothing, zero, no warmth, no engagement with my child essentially for 15 years, or very little, I worked on psychological good health for children. Because that's all that matters. And everything in the media, etc., for a long time is suggesting that's gone to pot. So the next generation is going to have to work out ways, and I may have some useful things to share on that.